better.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I said we've had a lot of people waiting. I really appreciate your patience. I'm running a minute or so behind, and I do apologize for that. But the first thing I wanted to say is hello to everybody in the chat because that is very kind of you guys to be waiting for me like that. So I know we've had Lemon Pie from the beginning, and then Phantom Boomer is here. I'm glad you guys could join me, guys and gals, if there's any gals out there. I'm not trying to insult anyone. And BBP is there, and Herc 130. And also, I wanted to say hello to my esteemed fellow panelists, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, PvP, and Antiderivative Jill. Gorilla, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I had that nice little surprise before your stream there of having a bunch of people pop into my stream there, but otherwise I'm doing pretty good. When we do get started here, I do got one automatic F.
You got one automatic F.
I wonder if it's the same one as mine. I can't wait to hear.
No, mine is when he went to go shoot the one creature there, he grabbed a little pea shooter and
Hold on. Wait. Remember now. Talk about it when we get to that scene. Remember, we talked about this during Gilligan's Island. Yeah, no spoilers. Even though I know, it's an old show, but if you can, try to talk about the scenes when they come up. Thank you. And PvP, how are you doing there?
Oh, doing all right. The nice thing about my 4-hour shift on Monday is it goes by fairly quickly. So.
Oh, that's always a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to get more hours starting next week, though. So.
Yeah, congratulations, and you're getting a raise too. I heard, so that's fantastic. Congrats! Yeah, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, it's going to help with the finances, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, and Antiderivative Jill, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. My daughter just put me to work. I have to fix this toy, but yes, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Go for it. I'll entertain the masses while you do that. So I'm going to highlight really quick here. I'm going to catch up on these chats because I do try to read all the chats whenever I can. Lemon Pie says, howdy, Pop. And Phantom Boomer says, Herc, ha, beat him here. Phantom Boomer says, hey, Pop Culture and Lemon Pie. Phantom Boomer says, got here ahead of Herc. And Antiderivative Spartacus says, hey, Lemon Pie and Phantom Boomer. And Phantom Boomer says, Antiderivative Spartacus are stalking me. Antiderivative Spartacus, it might look like that, but I'm on the panel. And Phantom Boomer says, damnation. Phantom Boomer says, I haven't been stalked since I turned 69. 60. And there's 60, and Phantom Boomer says, so it's worse. Sorry to hear that. And there's me saying hello to everybody. Phantom Boomer says, I have pretzels to go with my beer. I am all set. Boy, that sounds really good. And BBB says, is there? Yes, there is. We got that. Everybody's here.
Yep.
And Lemon Pie says, hi, Phantom Jill. Lemon Pie says, picka. And PvP says, lemon. And Phantom Boomer says, howdy, Pleasant Valley Picker. And oops. Let me see. Anyone I know in here? Says Herc 130. And Phantom Boomer says, And Herc 130 says, allo, Lemon Pie. Herc 130 says, good afternoon, Pop Culture Curator. And good afternoon to you too, Herc. I'm glad you could join us. I appreciate whenever you guys can spend time with me. It's fantastic. Herc 130 says, Jello Jill.
Hello. Hey, and if you guys hear the William Tell overtone, it's because I fixed my kid's toy.
Ah, okay.
That's actually a very good song.
Hey, no. Haven't you learned yet with those noisy toys? You're supposed to go, sorry, broken, or sorry, we're out of batteries.
Wait,
You
what?
haven't
I've been
learned that.
doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I
my
I
have.
thought I was
sister.
supposed to make my kids happy.
I have.
It's I was
Okay,
gonna say it's
Gorilla.
convenient with like my sister there. You always have batteries for the remotes and everything else, but we're always out of batteries whenever the toys need new batteries.
That's why when I was a kid, I hated getting toys that required batteries because you would at Christmas and or birthday, you'd open them up with a set of batteries, or you'd get batteries, not in the toy, but battery a set of batteries with the toy, and then that'd be as soon as those batteries are dead, it was done using that toy. So I never really liked that. At least these days, a lot of things are rechargeable. If I may ask Jill, what toy uses the William Tell Overture?
It was. It's just a spinny light up toy that she got from the circus.
Okay,
It has a unicorn.
Hmm.
very nice, very nice.
Yeah, I remember the William Tell Overture. That was didn't the Lone Ranger TV show have that as its theme song?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that.
But and BBB says Phantom Boomer, hi, and Herc 130 says there is a bot running. I hope it is. I don't know if my Stream Elements bot's working or not. I haven't seen anything yet. And Phantom Boomer says hail Stream Elements. So maybe Phantom Boomer saw it. I just missed it. Haha, Phantom Boomer. Oh wow, Dillard draws. Hi, I hear this show is good. Let's see how it goes. All right, Dillard, I'm glad you could join us.
Hey, Dillard.
Yeah, I don't. Was Dillard
I'm
been here
Yeah, hey
before?
there,
looking.
Dillard.
No,
I don't
he
know.
hasn't.
Oh,
I don't
welcome,
know
Dillard.
if. Yeah, I don't know if Dillard's been on my stream before. I don't see Stream Elements in the list. I'm looking. Darn Stream Elements. It's probably on another binge.
It does seem
Stream
to be
Elements, there
somewhat.
it goes.
It
It
does
just
seem to be.
posted the first link of somebody else's channel. Euler Greg's
There it
channel.
is.
Oh, it's working
Yeah,
then.
I guess it's just maybe it just has to sober up a little bit before it kicks into action.
Stream Elements does seem to be a bit of a strange program at times, I guess.
But it does. Okay, so as you all know, as in what you came here for is we're here to cover Lost in Space, episode number 4, I believe we're on.
Yep.
There were giants in the Earth, and by the way, the giants in the Earth is a quote from the Bible. I don't know if anyone knows that.
Oh, okay.
This episode title is from Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And the reason I know I'll make this fast because it's off topic is they have remains of giants. So we did have a species of giants living here on Earth. Apparently, I guess they had red hair, and they were about approximately 20 feet tall. But unfortunately, they were eating us, so we had to eliminate them. So we kind of trapped them into a cave, and then we had to finish them off. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around today. Okay, this episode, I'm trying to read the things here. Make sure I got it all. Don't want to be too late. This episode premiered on October 6, 1965. And as we've talked about before, they took the first pilot and chopped it up into 5 episodes. So we have this is number 4, and then next week, The Hungry Sea will be completing what was left of the pilot.
Yeah, these really great episodes with stories by Esbar David, but he's got a real name that he uses.
Yes.
For this,
But he's not totally embarrassed, I guess, right?
Yeah, the show does start off very strong in season 1. I've always thought it's a good run of. Well, it's a good, solid run of really good episodes right at the start of the season, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, his name is Shyman Winselberg. Yeah, that's who writes these first 5 episodes.
Yes, and this episode was actually want to find it was directed by somebody who also did Star Trek.
All right. Awesome.
Directed by Leo Penn, and he directed I was reading it earlier, and I'll come up with it later on during this stream. He went overboard on time. I guess they were already behind shooting, so he was really rushed. So unfortunately, it took an extra day, and 20th Century Fox was not happy. So it's the only one he directed. And apparently, the same thing happened with Star Trek. I guess he just wasn't up to par. Space Seed. Hold
Space
on,
Seed.
no,
You
no,
did great on Space Seed.
no.
Space Seed's great.
I'm
What?
getting this. I'm getting this mixed up here.
That can't be right.
Yeah, I don't think he directed Space Seed. Wasn't it one of big guys? You know,
No,
the
here
ones
it
that
is.
directed a
Tony
ton of
Wilson was a story editor for this, and
Tony
he
Wilson.
seemed to be a natural for Lost in Space. He had cut his teeth writing for TV's Captain Video in the mid 1950s. Over the next Wilbur over the next few years, he worked on Lost in Space and also the Time Tunnel. Wilbur would write 7 space episodes. He also wrote one for Star Trek, Space Seed, which introduced the character of Khan Noonien Singh. So there, I wanted to clarify that,
Nice.
which, as we know, is one of the best. And that episode probably saved Star Trek single-handed. Um, Let me pop up. I don't want to keep us too far behind, so I'm going to go ahead and add Jill's slides. And thank you, Jill, once again for bringing these wonderful slides to the stream.
Welcome. It's my pleasure to make these. I noticed this episode seems a little darker than the others.
Yes, it does. The first season is dark. In fact, I'll be bringing up some of that. Like here, we're recapping here the end of the last episode, where the robot is getting ready to assault um, Will Robinson. And
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
read
been
it.
told to eliminate all the unnecessary passengers.
Yes, CBS had their CBS had their own Bible to consult, that of broadcast standards. The network had issues with the cliffhanger for the previous episode, Island in the Sky, when Will is accosted by the robot, which has instructions to kill, then fires electrical charges in his direction. It was against CBS policy to depict children in great peril during the network's family hour. The cliffhanger was allowed to stay when the word kill was changed to destroy, and the electrical charges were not aimed in the direction of Will. Only then would the network allow the picture to freeze and the words to be continued next week, same time, same channel, appear on the screen.
That's weird. I don't remember it being this dark when I watched it. Huh? It seems darker
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that they changed it to destroyed so that it makes it more like robotic, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah,
I like the word
yeah,
destroy better as well.
makes more sense. Definitely.
Oh, we got a bunch of chats here.
Can you grab those for me, Gorilla?
Yeah,
So
Phantom
I'll
says
lose my
howdy
place.
to Dillard there.
Thank you.
Lemon says hi to Herc. Mad, welcome, Mad Scientist. Hello, welcome.
Hello, Mad Scientist. Hope you were doing well. Glad to see you.
Hi, Matt Sanders.
And yes, Mad Scientist, all our snow is gone now. It's the
Oh,
I'm expecting tornadoes here sometime this week because it's good. It's rapidly warming up to 80, so that's gonna really That's gonna really bring in the storms. And hey there, Herc. He says hey to Lemon. Captain Finity says hey, Captain Raid. Hey there, Captain Finity.
Hi, Captain.
hello,
Herc
Captain.
says, hello to Mad Scientist. Herc says Captain Raid. Phantom's waving at Mad Scientist. Captain Finity says excellent aeroplane sound effects. And Captain Finity hail, says Phantom. There's a anti-derivative Spartacus channel. Captain says Herc Boomer. Herc says the yelling kid in aeroplane sound effects is amazing. Sounds so real. Back to the olden days. Prime time starts at 1930, says Phantom Boomer. And Herc salute to Captain Finity. Captain Finity says, still thinking that guy with the glass head ain't necessarily a human. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe not.
And Dillard Draws says, I loved it in The Matrix when Smith looks at the other agents and says, find them and destroy them.
Yes, I like in the first Matrix. That is, I'm not a fan of the anything after that.
No, the other two weren't bad, but Matrix 4, that was ugh.
Okay, um, so a greater compromise had to be made for the teaser of There Were Giants in the Earth. The network insisted that something be introduced to decrease the level of peril facing Will. The solution, having Will mimic Dr. Smith saying, "Stop, my mechanical friend. Before you continue my metallic cohort, we must put you through a routine check." The script specified that the robot comes to a stop and says, "Temporary delay allowed, circuits open for routine check." While the element of danger was still present, the boy was out of immediate danger. And the script editor Wilson was also inserting comedy to help soften the character of Smith. After all, the not so good doctor had given the robot instructions to liquidate the other members of the expedition, with the exception of Major West, whom he needed to pilot the ship back to Earth. Um, in Act 1 of the script, Wilson polished a scene written by Carrie Wilbur, giving Jonathan Harris the wiggle room needed to add other dimensions to Smith: culinary skills, harmless eccentricity, and cowardice. The July 9th, 1965 shooting played. Yeah, July 9th, 1965 was the date on the script, and also when they started filming. Another thing that the network insisted was it showed the growth to start showing a growing affection between Will and the robot. After all, who could a 10-year-old boy have as a friend when isolated from peers of his own age and sex? His father was certainly caring, but also serious thinking and all work no play disciplinarian. Smith was not to be trusted, although affection between him and Will would soon be established in the series. But there was also the robot, early in his life and in a sense growing up just like Will, as he learns more about humans in each episode. In time, the robot would even begin to emulate human emotional traits.
Yeah, it was a
Ah,
very
that's what
good.
I'm waiting for.
Yeah, it was a very good idea to build a relationship between Will and the robot. Definitely added a lot to the show, and of
Yes, I
course,
completely agree.
Doctor Smith kind of completed the triumvirate because he was kind of often part of it too.
Well, I
A
do
little
like
later.
that Dr. Smith is kind of not perfect in terms of how he deals with the electronics and he makes a robot listen to his voice, but Will can circumvent it by mimicking his voice. Even
Yes,
though
Yeah,
the robot is also has also been programmed to kill Will or destroy him at the same time.
that's why in this episode, that's why they established that Will is learning to how to program that robot. So now we know that eventually, obviously, it's going to tell us that Doctor Smith will no longer have power over the robot, such as it is at this point. And this is also the first episode that starts giving Smith a little bit more dimension, a little bit more humor, and starts to show his laziness and how he gets out of work. We'll see a lot more of that in the series.
Yeah,
oh
and
yeah,
we see that in the part where Will says he feels like Dr. Frankenstein when he fixes or tries to fix the robot.
Yes. And okay, so we can continue finally and get started. So here we have Doctor Smith with the robot, and they arrive, and he's able to stop the robot from attacking Will. And he does compliment Will and saying that that was a good idea to use chess to confuse the robot. And we have them down in the lower level here, where Professor Robinson is explaining that they must depend, just like it says, we only know that we must depend on ourselves for survival. So he's telling them all that everybody has a job to do, and they all need to start pitching in. So here we have them setting up their force field, and we have Don and Professor West asking Dr. Smith if he's willing to help because it's very heavy, and Dr. Smith finds a way to get out of it, and instead he goes over to help the girls start planting seeds.
He won't do the heavy labor or the light labor.
Right, he won't do any labor.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
okay.
Exactly it.
I thought I would never find someone more useless to helping out the people than Mrs. Howell. But somehow, Dr. Smith here has not only. I think Mrs. Howell did more work in the first episode than we can do in the first four here so far.
Yeah, I never thought about that
Yeah.
comparison, but you are correct.
Like,
So,
because Mrs. Howell is completely useless, and so Dr. Smith might as well just take him out behind a rock or something.
Dr. Smith worked very hard for that cup of coffee.
yes, he did.
Yeah,
And
well, as the series goes on, we do get more and more layers to Smith's laziness and just complete lack of work ethic. It gets
yes.
pretty funny after a while, actually.
And so the girls say that they're pretty much done with planning, but they still have some other seeds that are left if Dr. Smith would like to help them with that. And Dr. Smith, unfortunately, being lazy, instead of putting them inside the hydroponic gardens that the girls are building, he decides them without testing the soil. Of course, he lies and says he's going to test the soil, but
After
he
he
does plant.
contaminates it with the seeds and whatever bacteria is on his hands.
Exactly right.
Wait, wait, I thought he just threw some water on there. That's all. I thought that's all he did.
I think he did bury it under the dirt and then sprinkle water on it.
Oh, okay.
But then after he does that, he collects the soil, and that's what he's going to test.
Right. So he does grab some soil
But
and
he's
put it
not.
inside of a little plastic bag. Right. Of course, he acts like he's busy. So he has the knack of looking busy. And we have Will working on the visual scanner as he comes in. And Will says
Yeah,
it
at
got
least
wrecked and
somebody's
he's trying
working
to.
on the ship.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that makes sense because Professor Robinson and Dawn they want that force field up before dark
Hmm.
Yeah.
because they're not familiar with that planet and they don't know what to expect. And now we have them testing the force field. So they activated the force field, and the force field reminds me of the one from Forbidden Planet. So they point it in certain directions, and then Dawn's able to test with. First, Dawn throws a few rocks, which explode when when they hit the force field, and then Dawn tests it with the laser rifle or laser. I can't
Well, he
remember.
shoots just directly in Marine's direction, so that's how confident he was in his work.
I know, and they didn't even, they didn't even flinch. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's a good thing that force field was working 100% there. That would have really upset the guys running CBS. Oh man, but yeah, I guess they were pretty sure that it was going to work.
So now they've decided that what they're going to do is they got the force field working, so they're going to go ahead and go in for the night, and they'll just work on the chariot in the morning. And now we cut to the next day, and Judy is yelling for the mother because unfortunately the seeds that Dr. Smith planted look like this, so they're incredibly large.
Okay. Now, my science may be a little off on this. Maybe you guys can correct me on this, but they shouldn't they be a lot smaller because they're in a cold climate? Like a lot of our biggest mammals and animals and the biggest plants and all that were always were during the Jurassic period there because it was so warm on Earth there until the meteoroid hit. And then, I know we had the mammoths during the Ice Age, but didn't they kind of pop up from a warm period?
Are you talking about the size of these pods?
Yes.
Well, the reason why they're doing this is they're just establishing that. Well, let me go back. Okay. Dr. Smith said that he's going to test the soil. He put a little soil in a plastic bag, and he told the girls he was going to go take it down to the lab and test it. He, that's when we saw him stop by Will, who was working on the scanner. And then Dr. Smith went down to the lab, and instead of testing the soil, he just threw it in the trash. So that they established that, sorry, they established that he did not test the soil. But I'm guessing that what they're saying, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of Jack and the Beanstalk. But I think what they're establishing is since it's an alien planet, that our seeds they're very unpredictable on a different surface of another planet. I don't know if this is necessarily accurate or not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why I was quite questioning it with because of the way our planet evolved. A lot of the warmer the climate is, the bigger the creatures are because they got more food from the plants thriving off of it.
yeah, it must have been some kind of weird chemical reaction with the soil, I guess, that caused it to happen. I kind of like how this kind of reminds me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original one, though, because it's definitely like pod people.
Yeah, that it is. And unfortunately, Dr. Smith is overconfident, and he says that should be enough food to last for weeks.
Oh, jeez.
So he takes out
Or
his pocket, or was it dazed? Go ahead, Jill.
or
Days.
enough food for the food to make them into food. I don't know.
There's
Yes.
no way I'd be eating that
It,
stuff.
it your food might be eating you.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look too healthy there.
Well,
No.
like they said in that the third Harry Potter, there, you better eat it before it eats you. You
And
know
I
what
do
that
like
feels
the
like,
fact,
though?
Yeah, it's the pea soup.
Yeah.
and I do like the fact that they added the touch of the smoke coming out of it because that gives you the idea it may be noxious gas.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
And so after Dr. Smith cuts open the plant and we see what's inside, that it's obviously something they're not going to be able to eat. Will shows up just in time with the laser and shoots the plant and kills it. And then at that point is when, of course, Dr. Smith does not uh, admit that he didn't test the soil.
All right.
And now we have John and Don heading to the chariot to repair it. Did we miss something? Maybe not. Oh no, they repaired they repaired the chariot, and now they're heading back to the Jupiter 2. And as they're heading back to the Jupiter 2, they're running over these big footprints like this, and that's when they noticed that they hadn't noticed them when they were headed in that direction the night before when the chariot broke down. I had to remember that it was the night before. I know it's been a week since I watched it, but
All right. I'm going to catch up on chat real quick.
please, thank you.
Captain Finity says Matrix, like Back to the Future and Raiders of the Lost Ark, had no sequels. I like all three of the Back to the Futures there. I'm not sure about the Raiders of the Lost Ark, though. Phantom Boomer says amen. Phantom says, in my opinion, New Hope had new. Oh, the roles are pretty good there. Captain Finity says, Fitz called the New Hope. It ain't the real dope. But Phantom says, pod people. Diller Draw says, I would eat it, but I'm a big fatty. I didn't know Pop was from New Zealand, says Phantom Boomer.
No, I'm unfortunately from California, but I'm hoping to change that.
And the worst part.
And the worst part. And now we have Don in the lab taking a look at that soil, and
Hey.
they realize. Go ahead, Jill.
Well, right. They find out that it can't be defined as an animal or vegetable because he's actually testing it. He's doing what Dr. Smith didn't do.
Exactly.
And this is really weird for me. This is the part of the episode that freaks me out because they're saying that the soil has a parasite in it that will combine with other life forms. And since in this case it combined with Earth life. So that is kind of creepy. I would be kind of concerned about a planet with parasites all in the soil.
Yes, I would too. Yes.
But later they just kind of forget about it. And they solve the issue. For some reason later on the parasites don't matter anymore. So they introduce this really interesting, creepy, scary thing, and then they push it out, and it just didn't matter.
Right. There's so much going on in this episode, so it tends to step over itself sometimes when it's moving too fast.
Yeah, definitely. There was no explanation for that because this was an interesting concept that they kind of just missed out on. I know a lot of people don't like Rick and Morty, but it reminds me of the episode where they went on a planet where everything was corn on the cob. All the things are corn on the cob. even down to the molecular level. And so they were so freaked out by that they just left. And this kind of reminds me of that. You got parasites all over the place that can combine with other creatures and plants.
Yeah, they could have done a lot with that by itself for a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we have with the robot. Will repairs the robot, and the robot comes out there, and as you can see, the force field is on, and they hear a noise. And in order for the robot to go out and investigate, find out what the noise is, the robot needs to turn off the force field, which it does. And this is another thing that where the network insisted to start showing the robot as being more tame. So it was the network's idea to have when Will repaired the robot and turned it back on, where the arm stuck out and then it starts spinning, and he says, "You look silly," and then the robot said, "Silly? That does not compute." So that was another suggestion by the network, because the network at this point was already telling them that, look, you need to start making the robot not as dangerous. And also the same with Dr. Smith. They said if he's going to continue being a bad guy like that, then you're going to have to get rid of him. And so that reminds me, I'm going to share a still here really quick.
Nerfing either of those characters doesn't sound like a fun time.
Oh, no, not at all, does it? Okay, I thought I had time to crop this out, but I guess I did not. I have a still here. This is a publicity still from this episode, and I wanted to show this. So I'm gonna show us a still photo from behind the scenes really quick.
And hello there, Greg. Welcome.
Hey, Laura Greg. So good to see you.
Hello.
So this is a publicity still that they shot to promote the episode before it was released. And when the network saw this, they were not happy at all. So the network told them that they were not allowed to even publish this picture.
Well,
because
yeah.
they didn't want to look like the doctor.
Yeah, it's kind of like child abuse, right? Like this is pretty heavy stuff for a publicity shot.
Yeah, but he's the villain. Makes sense.
Yeah, but still, I mean, he's strangling the boy. Like, I mean, a Marine's reaction is.
But
exactly
I
too
do
happy
get
either.
it. He kind of his villainy has to kind of be balanced between a certain
Well,
level. Otherwise, they would just keep him in stasis the entire time.
I think this was just a little too dark, though. I think they kind of went over the line just a little bit here.
Yeah. I
It
noticed
looks like
something.
Smith. Oh, go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, no, keep going.
Well, I just going to say quickly, it does kind of look on Dr. Smith's face like he's really enjoying this too, right? Which kind of makes it even more evil, you know. So yeah. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
CBS put a stop to this fairly quickly and would never allow a moment such as this, with Smith physically assaulting a minor, to be aired. So that's why they would not allow this picture to be published.
Mm. Yeah, I never saw this picture before. Wow.
No,
I hadn't either. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. I did notice something during the opening credits, though. I was watching the names there to see if there, because I noticed that June Lockhart and Bill Mumy. It's kind of nice that they alternated between the male, the female, and the male, the female, But I got a question, though. Why is it that they don't give the characters' names on any of them except for the last one, Penny? When she's hardly even the star of it. She's not. She's like a third-rate character almost.
Oh, are you saying where it says starring Guy Williams, June Lockhart, Mark Goddard? Because you're saying it says the actor's name when each of the characters flies by the screen. But then when it shows Penny, it says, and Angela Cartwright as Penny. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I never thought about that, but that's right. Yeah.
Well, the reason why is between the children, the three children, she was actually the biggest star at this point. She was famous for the TV show Make Room for Daddy.
Oh, right.
So that was part of the enticement of people bringing this, enticing people to watch the show.
That was the Danny Thomas series, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yes. Danny Thomas, Make Room for Daddy.
Right.
Yeah, was just wondering on that because I was looking at that, and like I said, it's kind of nice that they alternated between that. That way, it's not like you named like all the guys, once and all. It's back and forth between, you know, there. But I guess I've never really noticed that on the any other shows. So where it's either like the guy where I thought they would have done that for all the characters, put the name underneath the actor.
They do that on Stargate, where they don't do it for anybody else, but just for Daniel Jackson. You get Michael Shanks as Daniel Jackson. And then,
Hmm.
but I don't know why they do it either on that show.
Yeah, actually, Penny starts off as quite a minor character in the first handful of episodes, but uh, the writers do begin to develop her as the series goes on as a character, and I'm waiting for episode 7 because that's kind of she's featured in that one for a change. She gets to like star in that one, and
Yes.
that's one of my very favorite episodes of the entire series because I think it's marvelous. It's a marvelously written episode that. Yeah, explores Penny's character. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one.
And I forgot to mention this episode is directed by Leo Penn, father of Sean Penn. So you guys
Oh,
know who
really?
that is, I'm sure. Yep.
Oh, wow.
So it always helps when you know somebody, right?
Yeah, I never realized they were father and son. Interesting.
And of course, this is where the doctor chastises and say, "I thought I told you to stay away from the robot." Because it makes sense because Professor Robinson he still considers it very dangerous. But of course, Will is exploring, and he still thinks that he has the edge over the robot. And Professor is also upset because the force field was turned off.
Yeah. Is it just me, or is a lot of this episode and last episode, like a lot of the problems are because of Will? Like, because he didn't listen to his dad?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, Will does get into trouble quite often.
yes, he does. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is not the end of that.
He definitely helps push along the plot.
Yeah, that's why he's such a fun character, I think, really. You know.
So here
He's
we have the
getting
next day,
reprimanded.
right? And I think it's excellent the way the father handles it too. Is he's basically telling him, we could have reprogrammed that job. We could have. He's scolding him because when Will brought the robot to life and the robot turned off the force field. The robot wandered out to search for the source of the sound that they heard, and it did not return. So at this point, Professor Robinson is thinking the robot is probably lost. So he's scolding Will because he's saying that was an expensive piece of equipment because of what you did, and we lost a lot of value. But then, as you see here, like a good parent says, that's all I'm going to say about the robot. So he's not going to keep bringing it up every week. Remember that time you did that? So I wish I had no more people like that that would just say, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, John
But fortunately,
Robinson is a very good character. I think, unfortunately, they don't use him enough. Some episodes, like I wish they would have. I wish they would have given Guy Williams more, more screen time because sometimes he does kind of get pushed to the background a little bit.
yes, he does. Well, especially in the seasons 2 and 3 when the Batman influence comes in. Because
Oh
basically, this is
yeah,
a year. This is a year before Batman in '66 was premiered.
yeah,
When Batman came out, it took over everything. Everybody was. It had the highest ratings. Everybody was trying to mimic it.
yeah.
So
I've
that's
been.
why Lost in Space is going to do a really big tonal change.
Oh yeah,
Even shows like Wild Wild West, if any of you guys remember that, was the same thing. It tried to mimic Batman. I mean, almost everything then was trying to copy Batman.
yeah. Batman was such a huge hit, but boy, I think that, oh, A Man from Uncle too in season 3, right? Which probably eventually led to their cancellation because season 3 is probably the weakest overall. As much as I love Batman as a series, it did have a really quite a damaging influence on a lot of the other shows because the producers decided, hey, Batman's a hit. Let's just be like Batman. But it didn't
Yes.
work, right? It didn't work on shows like Lost in Space.
I'll tell you
What?
where it did work though is Powerpuff Girls. If anybody ever has any kids, they want to show
Okay.
something fun too.
Well, I got to say, an older dude, I haven't gotten around to watching that one yet.
It's
It's not
very.
on my
I
top
saw
of
it
my
first.
list.
I was a kid, so I watched it, and
Yeah, that's
it
probably a
there.
little too old.
I watched the 60s Batman after having seen this cartoon, and I realized
Okay.
just how heavily influenced it was by it.
Really? Well, a
That's
lot of
cool. I didn't
shows
know
are
that.
influenced by Batman. It's amazing, really.
That and also Japanese stuff.
Ah, right.
But I do want to mention that as big as Batman was a hit when it premiered, it fizzled out really fast. So that's another reason that it's sad that a lot of shows decided to mimic it because it only lasts a few seasons, and
Yeah.
then the people they grew tired of it really quickly.
Well, Batman really was quite formulaic, right? I mean, you
It
basically had
did.
the villains of the week and, you know, Batman doing his
That's
Batman
what
thing.
right.
You
It was
know?
the villains of the week is what drew people in because at the time they had big name stars and
Yeah,
everyone was competing for a role on that show as a villain.
true. True. Yeah. But I mean, even something good, when you do it for 3 seasons over and over again, it does kind of get repetitious to the point where fans are going to leave.
Well, right, exactly, which is what eventually happened. So after Professor Robinson talks over with Will, like I said, at this point he doesn't think the robot's coming back. But right after this scene, we do have the robot returning, and apparently the robot is extremely confused here at this point. Now, in the script, they did shoot. They were planning on, but since the shooting schedule was so far behind, they weren't able to show it. But according to the script, what was going to happen was they were going to show the robot first come across the footsteps of the giant, and then
Oh,
actually see the giant itself, and then be confused.
oh, that would have been kind of cool. Darn.
Yes. So those they weren't able to shoot that. So what we get is the after effect of the robot coming back just totally confused of what it had encountered, which
That's another
leaves
thing.
us with the mystery of what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like about the robot, the way they develop the robot's character as the series progresses. Because at first the robot is, kind of a bit menacing, right? But then he does take on sort of a comedic sensibility in some episodes after a while, which is kind of a lot of fun because the robot can be quite hilarious at times. Because some of the dialogue they give him after a while is pretty funny.
Oh well, there's even one episode, one of my favorites too, where he's actually singing Santa Lucia.
Okay, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in fact it's one of the clips I have in the opening
Oh, jeez.
title. It's on the bottom left hand during one of those scenes. You'll see Will playing a guitar and the robot singing.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, the robot's a lot of fun.
Go ahead,
let's,
Gorilla.
let's do a chat. Catch up on the chats real quick
Thank
here.
you. Yes.
Yeah, Phantom says hello to Euler Greg. Herc says hello, Euler Greg. I just subbed to your channel. That's great.
Very
Great
cool.
there. Yeah. Euler says thanks.
Yeah,
Herc.
thanks to the Stream Element spot posting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Euler Greg says howdy to Lemon Pie, or Lemon Pie says howdy to Euler Greg. Uh, Lemon Pie says greetings, Captain. Dillard, hey there, says Lemon Pie. Euler Greg says hi, Lemon Phantom and Herc. Then Spartacus says biggest fan here. Jill, which is
and other people.
Spartacus!
And other people.
Yes, and the other ones too, whoever they
Matt
are.
G.
Yeah. Good to see you, Matt G. Glad you could be here.
Hi, Matt G.
Yeah, you spelled Spartacus wrong there, Matt.
Only for 5 more days.
Oh,
my.
we're still gonna call you Spartacus. It's stuck now.
For you.
It's
We'll
stuck.
see
no.
how many people keep calling me that.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, Phantom Boomer says Matt G. LOL.
Okay, so this is the robot returning to the ship, totally confused, and of course,
Yeah,
the
very bad
Robinsons-
timing for teaching Will the lesson he was supposed to be learning.
Yeah, exactly right. Data inaccurate does not. I'm sorry, data inaccurate does not compute. I had never heard data until TNG. I had always heard data my whole life.
Right, because that's
So-
how Jean-Luc Picard, that's how Patrick Stewart says it.
Yeah, I never liked data. It's like, huh? But yeah, data inaccurate does not compute. Does not compute. So they're assuming that the programming of the robot is still off and there's something wrong. But that was also I wanted to mention that when the robot in that last can you show that last still, Jill? When the robot is approaching them, this is one of the first times how to describe this. When they would want to show the robot advancing, as you guys know, it had the base, the feet, those big metal feet with the treads.
Hmm.
But sometimes Bob May, who played the robot, would not wear that. So what he would do is he would not wear the base, and he would just walk with his feet sticking out of the bottom.
Right. They wouldn't show it, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way you could tell is when the robot's advancing towards him, he's bouncing up and down. So anytime you see the
And
robot bouncing up and down, you know that's Bob May actually walking inside the suit.
Oh
All
boy.
right, all right. I got to highlight this chat just because it's relevant. One is his name, the other is not.
right, his name is David Pulaski. We'll call him Dada. But I get why he has to use his legs to walk because he wasn't going to be sliced up by those other legs anymore.
Yes, and whenever they, well, then and also the reason why is I think it was to save time during filming because as we'll see a lot more in the series as it progresses, is he's wearing those shoes, or I don't the base, but the 2 feet are locked together, and he's being pulled along on a spoilers everybody. He's being pulled along on a wire that's under the dirt, and I'm sure with the high definition you'll be able to see it. But sometimes to save time during filming, they'd have Bob May just walking along, wearing just the upper part of the suit. And like I said, you'll know because you'll see him bobbing up and down.
So where's the eyeballs on the suit?
You mean,
So
where's he
he,
look? Where's he looking? You mean where's the actor looking?
yeah.
I would guess through the little vent that lights up in the front. Is that right?
Nope,
No.
nope. Right above that, the circular thing with the glass,
Oh.
with the circle.
Oh,
It's got like glass. What do you call those? Like ribs.
yeah. Oh, so he's seeing it like LeVar Burton had to see look through the visor at TNG then with Jordan.
Yes, yes, exactly. And the reason why he couldn't see through the part where Jill was talking about is because that was the lights that he used to sync his voice whenever he was talking.
Oh, I thought they were talking about the car air filter that was right above it.
Well, I guess the car air filters were. Yeah, I guess that's where he looked.
I just want to mention if Joe could go ahead one still. I thought that was interesting. Where here the robot says humanoid, not 16 meters high.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
plays
like
back
it.
to what pop culture was saying about
Yeah,
the
I just
robot
wanted to.
having to see,
Yeah.
having seen the
Oh, I wanted to
giant.
mention that it obviously had seen the Cyclops, right? So
Yes, that's just it. It's and remember now, its programming is still in its early stages, so it's that's why it's overwhelmed
in
because
a
it was
way,
not expecting it.
it's probably a good thing that they didn't show the robot encountering the Cyclops this early on, because just that line alone makes you think like, what's going on? What's this about? And it kind of builds the suspense until later
I
in
think
the
so too.
episode.
Yeah, it adds the mystery.
I think it's actually a better way to have done things actually.
I like how Will just yanks the power pack out. That's enough for you. I feel it feels a lot like in Star Trek Voyager, where the Doctor would want his computer program to be ended by somebody. At first, he felt comfort in being turned off, and discomfort when they left him on. And eventually, he rewrote his own programming so he could have control over whether he was on or off. But since this is a hardware plug-in, the robot won't ever be able to do that.
That is true. Okay. I'm sorry, I had to mute my phone. Don't need it making noise while we're trying to do this. And I'm so this is where yes, Will pulls the power pack because they think the robot is malfunctioning.
Mm.
Because basically what it's saying is nonsense.
Or they think it's nonsense.
Yes, at this point they think it's nonsense, right?
And then we're back to our captain's log here. Back to the diary.
And here's something you will definitely not see anymore on modern television, and that is a wife. The way she's gazing at him while he's writing the diary, I love it. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
I do believe we still have loving wives in 2023, but all right.
Well, in real life we do, but on television, I don't know. I'm just saying, like it's not here in the stills, but as he's writing, she looks up at him like in total admiration, and it just you can see that the love in her eyes, and it's just I don't
Well,
remember
they
on
both
modern.
have they both have a great romance with each other, which is kind of fun. Yeah. Even though it's kind of a, subplot, most of the time, but it's still kind of fun.
Yes, absolutely. So here is where they realize how to plant safely inside the soil. So whatever that is supposed to be safe.
Yeah, it's safe now. It had parasites earlier. Earlier, there were parasites that made big, crazy, ugly monsters. But don't worry about that. We can eat the food now.
Yeah, it's like that's okay. I think I'll eat the stuff from the hydroponic garden.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, where's your sense of adventure?
Okay,
Well,
gorilla.
Dillard will eat it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say yeah, gorilla. How about yeah? You can
Hey,
taste it,
hey,
gorilla, and
maybe
let us
those
know.
parasites will be good for you and make you a strong, buff, and intelligent, like what happened to Fry when he ate the gas station egg sandwich. No, no
Another
Futurama fans.
I
Well,
I
I
remember that
am. I just
vaguely,
don't
but not
remember
well
it.
enough to comment. That didn't go well though for Fry, did it? Or did that turn him into a genius or something? I can't
yeah,
remember.
yeah, he turned him into a genius and made him strong and made him more charismatic and
Okay.
that stronger.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I don't think somehow a garage sandwich would probably do that though. In reality, some of those garage sandwiches can be pretty iffy.
that is true.
Oh, oh yeah. Here we go with the climate stuff. Yeah, this is good.
Right. Here's where they notice that frost has killed some of their plants, and
Oh,
they're confused because they didn't realize that it got that cold. Go ahead, Jill.
in the captain's log, I forgot to mention, they mentioned this kind of ostrich animal that they're domesticating, but we
Oh
don't get to
yes.
see it yet.
Right. Well, let me explain. Thank you. Okay. When we, as we've said a few times, in the original pilot, Nowhere to Hide, they broke up into 5 episodes. In that original pilot, when they land on this planet, the first thing they do is they gather a bunch of animals on the planet, and one of those is an ostrich. But that is cut out of the series altogether. So there's a physical mention of it when he's working in his log, but we will never actually see that on screen until at the end of the season when we cover the pilot. Then
All
you'll see
right.
that ostrich that he's talking about.
So
So I will see him eventually.
that's kind of a mistake then, leaving that bit of dialogue in this episode.
Kind of. I think so
Yeah,
too.
they should have
Because
cut
they
that
kind of cut
line.
it out. They cut
Yeah,
out the ostriches.
yeah, that's kind of weird though that they'd mention them and we never see them.
Well, it's also
must have
kind
kind
of
of
weird.
puzzled must have puzzled the viewers a bit back then.
Mhm.
And I want to make it. I want to mention a note. I was looking for it here as we were talking, but this is when the robot said does not compute. It says this was only the second time that the robot had had its power pack yanked. Bob May told Starlog in an interview, there were many different things that I had to figure out how to do, and some of it was tough. It was like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. That same principle. I had to press a button with each syllable of every word that I said because the robot's voice light had to be blinking right along with the voice. If the robot was shot, I had to kill the switches and die. I had to slump down if Dr. Smith pulled the power pack, which he did a lot. I had to raise the bubble up with my own head, turn 360 degrees. I won't tell you how I did that. Lots of different things that had to be done. And a scene that was also planned but cut due to lack of time had Smith reactivating the robot, then both of them seeing the giant, at which point Smith had the robot fire its electrical charges at the beast.
Hmm.
But due to time constraints, they weren't able to shoot that either.
That would have been fun.
Yes, it would have to see right. So here's where they're confused about how their plants seem to have frozen. So Professor Robinson says he's going to go check their weather station, which they have, which will give them an idea of the basically the temperature range on the planet. Yeah, that food does not look so good. And as you can see, it's already getting much colder because. And by the way, it's supposed to be much colder because the temperature is dropping rapidly. But you could tell. I mean, obviously, this is filmed on a sound stage, so even though they're freezing, you can actually see sweat on their faces, especially on Dawn's. And here's where they see it's getting colder, and here's where they're checking the station and the equipment. And here's where he says we're gonna have to head south but fast because pretty much the temperature is gonna be dropping even faster. And Don says, "Is it's a good idea for us to leave the ship?" And then he said, "I'd rather leave the ship and be found than not." Basically, and I even have the script here that I was reading from parts of it. But Don questions him, saying, "Is it safe to leave the ship?" And Professor Robinson says, "I'd rather leave the ship and survive, take the chance of survival, than to." And this is where they still think that a rocket from Earth may be coming and looking for them. So Don says, "Well, what if a rocket passes and sees the ship and it thinks there's nobody there? It is. They'll televise the picture back to Earth." And now he said, "I'd rather be found at all if I had to be picked up by a pair of ice tongs." And this is also where they were trying to put a little more humor into the script. So now and he said also staying inside the ship during that kind of weather would drain the solar batteries. So, and they also discovered that part of their equipment had been smashed, and that's when they saw the footprints. And as they see footprints, they see this giant Cyclops. And unfortunately, they do not have their guns with them, and they were not expecting to encounter this beast.
You
So,
know, that's one criticism I have. Like, if you're on an alien planet, and you're not still not 100% sure of what's out there. Like, you've only been on the planet a short time. Wouldn't you always take at least one gun with you?
well, I would, and if I remember right, the night before, uh, Professor Robinson also heard the same noise, which was basically the Cyclops. You could hear the growl of the Cyclops.
Well, yeah. I mean, like the robot, knew there was something out there, and when it turned off the force field and went out to investigate, and then it saw the Cyclops and freaked out, right? But so I mean, I think I'd always have be packing some kind of gun with me if I was on an alien world, just in case, right?
I know I
But
would.
the suspense has to happen, I suppose. But still, it's a minor. I'm being nitpicky, so.
Oh,
It's a legitimate concern.
No, you're absolutely right.
yeah. I have to
Oh,
say this.
well, thank you.
All right, I have to say this. Hey, you guys! No Goonies fans? Oh, come on.
I've seen the Goonies, but I don't get the reference.
Sloth? When he comes out, he's like, "Hey, you
Oh,
guys!"
okay. I guess I thought you were talking about the one eye, but I guess not. Sorry.
Well, Sloth is the big old creature that looked like he got.
Well, no, he was a guy. He was just deformed
Yeah.
and misunderstood,
Okay.
and that's why Chunk made friends with him, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get. We got a couple chats here.
All
Matt
right,
G
thank
says,
you, Gorilla.
"Yo, Boomer." Matt G says, "Wire? No, LOL." Phantom Boomer says, "High voltage yet?" Matt G says, "Jill is a loving wife. She goes to Whataburger."
And a good mother too. She buys that for her kids.
Yeah, the Phantom Boomer has a crazy face. Matt G says, "Jill's kids pull her power pack when she said to do your homework." LOL.
They would like to. Doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, Greg says Cyclops. Herc says never get out of the boat. Sheriff Taylor never carried a gun. Matt G says, "Hey, I got someone on my side. Goonies rule." Matt G.
Wow.
Hey,
That sounded like more than a
What?
kid there.
Was that the Cyclops attack, or?
Well, yeah, the Cyclops here is a guy in a suit, right?
Well, I hope so. It'd be kind of scary if it was real Cyclops the actors had to work with.
Um, yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's kind of obvious it's the guy in the suit, but hey, it's still fun.
it works. It looks great.
Yeah,
And they were able to shoot the scene you can using forced perspective and blue screen.
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks good too. So Professor Robinson and Don, upon seeing the Cyclops decide that it's a good idea maybe to take cover. So they find a nearby cave and head inside there just as the Cyclops starts to reach for them. And meanwhile, back at the Jupiter 2, Will is still working on that scanner. And Marine comes out with her washer and dryer unit, as we all remember from we were kids, which is funny because she puts the clothes in dirty, dumps them in, pushes a few buttons, and then brings them out totally washed, dried, and folded in plastic.
Yeah, I love that they're actually sealed in plastic, like in like what 5 seconds. It's like,
Yes,
man, I'll tell you, on the weekend, I wish my laundry was that easy.
I know, right? That would be nice.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah, I don't need all that plastic, but that's pretty cool.
Oh
Right, the
yeah.
plastic isn't very environmentally friendly, but
So it
yes,
is.
at
You can
least the
tell this
washer.
is
Go
you can
ahead.
tell it's the '60s show with the mom doing the laundry.
Of course,
You know.
and they weren't concerned about plastic as much as we are now.
Well, I guess back then plastic was thought to be a good thing because paper. I remember when they got rid of paper bags because we were killing the forests, right? And now it's the opposite. Now they're bringing the paper bags back in because plastic's evil. So they're phasing out all the bags here. Like you can't even get them in a lot of stores anymore.
Well, here
And
what
now
they
it's all
did is
paper
they
bags.
here, well, because here in the U.S., paper bags were always made with recycled paper, so that wasn't a problem. The
Mm,
only reason why they got rid of paper bags is so they could force people to start buying plastic bags.
I guess. Well,
Yeah.
plastic bags were free for years and years until I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago when they started charging for them.
Mine are
Yep.
still free.
Wow,
Oh,
you're lucky.
is that all of Texas, Jill?
I don't know,
Boy, you're lucky. They're
but
not. A lot of the supermarkets here don't even have plastic bags anymore. You have to basically take your own cloth bag, or I don't know how you get your groceries out to the car.
Yeah, some chains or just removing them altogether. Like Walmart, I heard they're starting to remove them from their
Walmart.
stores where you got
Oh,
to bring your
they
own
got
bag.
rid of them here like I don't know last year sometime.
And here they have them, but they're 10. They range from 10 to 25 cents, which is
I think it's about
ridiculous.
yeah. Well, here's usually between 5 and 8 cents, but they pretty well eliminated it from every store I can think of in the last few weeks. I've gone to stores that a month ago they had them, and it's like, nope, we don't have plastic anymore. So I just take my own cloth bag now because that's the only way you can, that's the only thing you can do, right? Otherwise, how are you going to
yeah,
get your stuff
and
home?
now you have to wash these cloth bags because they get full of bacteria very quickly.
Yeah, well, that's another problem. Yeah.
Well, how are you gonna? Well, like if they get rid of plastic, like what if I go buy a head of lettuce and tomatoes and stuff? So
We
I
still
don't
have
know.
plastic all over the place here.
Right, they're not getting rid of all the plastic. It's just a virtue signaling kind of thing.
That's
Yeah, we,
exactly what it is, right?
yeah,
No,
we,
plastic bags will basically be eliminated here by the end of the year.
But
yeah,
We
yet
won't
you,
be able.
you
There'll be no grocery bags, no store bags with any kind of plastic. The
right, but
federal government mandated it a few months back, I think.
look at all the products you buy from
The
Amazon. They're in that
federal
hard case you got to
government.
cut out.
Holy crap.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but that's just the way it is. So
yeah.
what can you
We
do, right?
we went from plastic straws wrapped in paper to paper straws wrapped in plastic. How's that?
Yeah.
How's that
Oh yeah.
good
Well,
for?
here the only place I know, at least where I live, that has those stupid paper straws is San Francisco. The rest of the Bay Area, you can still get plastic straws.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, I don't
paper
even know.
straws are just so useless. You can use them twice, and then they're done.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right. Anybody knows what does paper do? It dissolves in water. So it's like, what is their point?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? Oh man, crazy world we're living in these days.
Well, it's foolish. Whoever came up with that idea.
Yeah, I don't know. But I just don't see why they can't. I don't know. I mean, I know plastics, I guess, an issue, but I don't know.
Well,
It seems like it's one
here's
extreme to the other all the time, right?
well in San Francisco, there's no plastic straws, but they hand out free needles. They're all over the streets. So which
There you go.
worse?
Well, it says a lot about the society, doesn't it?
And here's where we have Will repairs the scanner, and he's showing
Oh, here we go.
Maureen, and this is where she sees the giant, and if she's alarmed, and she sees the giant basically trying to reach into the cave where she knows the men are, where the weather station is, and
Did
the
they say
girls
it
are
was a
alarmed
radio
too.
telescope?
What's that?
Did they say it was a radio telescope?
Oh, you could be right.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
It's a radio.
That's right. The
telescope.
scanner was the other thing he was working on. That's
Well,
right. Thanks.
Will was working on the visual scanners before, but I don't know what happened with that. We never get back to it, and he's moved on to the radio telescope.
I guess we're assuming he repaired that, since they don't mention it again. Maybe.
Yeah, they don't mention it again, so I assume he fixed it.
It seems like Will can repair most things, actually.
Well, since I didn't hear about it, I looked up to see how these things were made. This costume was designed by John Chambers, who also did stuff for Star Trek and Planet of the Apes.
Cool.
Yes.
And the guy in the suit is Ted Cassidy.
Really?
And we all know who Ted Cassidy is.
I never knew that. That's awesome. Hey, Jill, what do you have any idea what suits he designed for Trek? I'm just curious if you've got any info. Did he do like the
No.
Gore? He didn't do like the Goran suit, or
I think that was two people worked on it. We covered that when we did Arena. One
Okay.
guy did. I think it was Wah Chang who did the Gorn itself, and then it may have been William Ware Tice who did the suit on the Gorn.
Oh,
Oh,
But I
right,
remember it was two men that worked on the Gorn.
like the uniform on the Goran. Okay, that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah.
wow. John Chambers did a whole lot for Star Trek. He did makeup for the Vulcans, Romulans, and Klingons.
Nice. Wow, that's cool. I never knew that these facts before, but yeah, having Ted Cassidy in the suit, that's awesomely cool.
All right. Before we get back to this, let's catch up on the chat real quick.
Thank you, Gorilla.
Euler Greg says, I keep a Cyclops chained in the front yard for security. Yeah. Euler Greg says future plastic is environmental friendly. Euler Greg says plastic bags are free here too. Maggie says no bags at food stores here. I brought
sounds
plaster
right.
straws to bring with me because of the paper straws. Yeah, plaster straws, that must taste like crap.
I think he means plastic.
Plastic. Oh, Greg says, I want my clothes instantly done and wrapped in plastic. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be nice. Greg says, I think Sean saw his little brother on the wing of this plane.
Shatner.
Oh, Shatner. Oh, I just seen Sean's name down here, the second one. Then here's
Poor Sean.
the best channel here. Just kidding. I know, but
Check out Gorilla's Red and Thoughts, everybody.
I'm just kidding. I know I'm not the best.
So here's where we have Don and the Professor Robinson hiding in the cave, and the Cyclops uproots a tree and is using it because at first the Cyclops tries to reach into the cave and grab them, but he's not able to reach. So he pulls a tree out of the ground and tries to use it, and apparently he's not very happy. So there he is. And now we have Will, who grabbed a gun from the ship and ran out before anyone can stop him. And there's Will confronting the Cyclops with the laser rifle, with the gun.
They don't exactly try. I really love these first few episodes, but they don't really get mothers. Just stand around and let my child run into danger.
Well, unfortunately, Jill, I don't know if it gets better in that department or not.
Yeah, probably not. But I'll probably bring it up every time.
I mean, because as a mother, she would have sent Judy out there and said, "You grab him and drag him back if you have to, right?
Right.
Or go after him herself."
Or
Well,
at least
that's
try.
Will.
Yeah.
Like
That's
she could
Will.
fail at it. I just want her to
Yeah.
try.
All right.
That's that's Will being precocious once
All
again,
right.
right?
Oh
We're
yeah, no, I'm
Yep.
totally fine
yeah.
with Will being
Yeah.
precocious and running out and getting into danger.
All right. We're
I
at the
just
scene.
wanted
I
to
got my
try.
automatic F at.
Oh, okay. I missed that. I
All
was
right,
away
go
for a
for it
minute.
now, Gorilla.
All right. It gets an automatic F because he went and grabbed a damn pea shooter instead of grabbing a real man's gun. Little pea shooter, he should have grabbed the real man's gun there, the rifle.
The laser rifle.
Yeah. He's just using a pea shooter.
Yeah, but it still did the job, right?
Well, you tell me in a couple more scenes. You tell me.
Well, I think they killed that one, but then there was another one. Like, there's more than one Cyclops,
No, no,
obviously.
no, no. He got up.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it only stuns him.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
honestly,
I haven't
when
watched it since last weekend, so I guess I'm forgetting stuff.
I think when it comes to why he used the pistol, I don't think they wanted to show him carrying around what looks like a rifle because he's a boy. I think maybe that's I'm saying as far as visually in the network and what they would allow.
Oh,
I think that's maybe why he had a pistol.
possibly. Yeah. Hmm. Oh well.
And of, and of course, this is where his father reminds him, "Don't you ever leave your post again." Understand? But then the dad pats him and basically says um, he does let Will know that he saved their lives. So I do like that too. He did acknowledge that. And now do they say there might be other giants around? So he gives Will his suit, and there's where the robot's awake.
Uh,
See, so the robot wakes up. I mean, I'm sorry, the Cyclops.
yeah. How about those Cyclops feet, eh? Wow, those are big suckers.
And here's where they tell Smith that we need to leave because the temperature, we need to head down south because the temperature is going to be dropping massively. And I had a note I wanted to bring up about this scene.
I know he's not the best guy, but I find it strange they allow Dr. Smith to stay on the ship without telling him he's probably going to die. Like this is probably not a good idea, but and
Well,
then
they do
say
tell him the temperature is going to drop, but he says he doesn't want to leave.
Mhm. Yeah, but
Here
they
it
don't
is.
really they don't really push the issue. Like, okay, go ahead, die.
And there's a reason. A reason, excuse me. Smith,
Ah.
leave the ship. Are you out of your collective minds? Here we have simple comforts, an adequate cuisine, and more than ample protection from the perils of the planet. And you want me to leave? And Professor Robinson says, it's either that or freeze. Smith says, my dear sir, Zachary Smith would have freeze to death intact, then provide a few morsels for some carnivorous giant. Do as you please, but I shall stay here. Don says, it's your funeral, Smith. Smith says, just leave me a few necessities, and I feel confident that I shall survive.
Well,
And,
I guess
and
that's kind of Smith being a coward there again, right? Because he doesn't want to get eaten by the Cyclops or whatever.
well, he figures he'll. I guess he figures he'll be safe as long as he's inside the ship.
Exactly.
So, Professor Robinson says we'll leave all we can spare. Let's see about getting underway, Don. And then he says to Dr. Smith, good luck. You'll need it. And then it says, Smith, you'll be back, never fear, and I'll be here as snug as can be, you'll see. As they disappear, his bravado collapses into doubt. So he's just acting that way as long as they're standing there. And then as soon as they turn and leave, then he's not so sure. And the reason why he stays there is because they decided that if they, since everything as soon as they leave that ship, we're going to be watching scenes from the original pilot, which did not have Dr. Smith and the robot. And it would have been too expensive and time consuming to reshoot the scenes to add Dr. Smith and the robot going with them on the trip. So that's why they had the reason where Dr. Smith says he refused to go and he's going to stay in the ship. And that way they could show the scenes with them traveling in the chariot and what we see going forward in this episode without having to explain it. Does that make sense?
Oh, makes total sense. Yeah. Great point. Obviously, when you think about it, yeah, that's probably exactly the reason why they did what they did.
Yes. So that's why Dr. Smith stays behind, because we're going to be seeing, in fact, almost the entire rest of this episode is from. I can't believe they milked that one pilot for so many scenes.
Yeah,
They do.
production wise, that does make a lot of sense. Now I get it. It kind of makes them seem a little cruel that they don't fight at least a little bit. They're like, hey, we don't really like you, but you're gonna freaking die. But I guess they figure out a way to get him to survive this.
Well, how about I just now thought about what if they put him in the freezing
Oh,
tubes
right.
or the
Yeah.
stasis tubes?
That could work.
Yeah, I wondered about that too. It's like, why doesn't he just, go in the freezing tube? Because, I mean, that might save him, right?
Possibly. But at this point, I don't think Dr. Smith wants to go back in that ever again.
Yeah, he probably would. He probably wouldn't trust them. He'd probably think, yeah, you're going to put me in there and then you'll never thaw me out again.
Exactly.
It's just like,
And
let's leave Smith where he is.
and here's where we're starting to establish the affection that Will has for the robot. And of course, the robot doesn't quite understand what he's talking about, but we'll see more of that later on. And for anybody who, if you have not seen the show before, Bob May, who plays the robot, like he said, he has to push a button every time he says he pronounces a syllable, and that button is in the left hand of the where the left claw is of the robot. So whenever throughout the entire series, whenever the robot is talking, you can see that left hand moving in sync with the syllables.
Hmm.
That's some good self-made choreography there.
Yes, it is, and it makes sense. That's why he said, like patting your head and rubbing your stomach.
It
at the
sounds
same
like nobody
time.
told him to do these things, and he just figured it out.
Yes, he did. He did many interviews after this, where a lot of the things he adapted. And I have to bring this up. Another thing they did in an interview one time is they played a prank on him, and that is, and I mentioned it to you, Jill, on one of your Trek streams. And pulled a prank on him, and what they did is when they all went to lunch, they left him inside the suit and didn't take him out. And what he did is he was so used to being in there, he thought, I'm just going to chill and wait till everybody gets back. And he lit up a cigarette.
Oh, no.
And apparently, when they got back from lunch, they saw the smoke coming out of the robot. They thought it was on fire.
Jeez.
So he played a prank back on them.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good one.
So here's where they got the chariot all packed, and they get ready to embark and head down south, where they're hoping to avoid the cold as much as they can. They have not mentioned yet, and they will in the next episode, the orbit of this planet and why and how it affects the temperature changes. And here's where they do mention the turtle that was in the pilot, and they actually show Penny riding the turtle. It says she was riding on the turtle, she and the bloop. So that's the reason why when we do find Penny, she is riding on that strange looking turtle that has the spikes. And here we got our first appearance of the jetpack. And this right here is why everybody as a kid were thinking, wow, okay, we're going to have that when we grow up. Well, here we are, and no, we don't.
Yeah, we all thought we'd have flying cars and jetpacks and that. Instead, we have to put it on Tide Pods not to eat.
That's right. And still ride the bus.
Yeah, the jetpack part in this episode I thought was very, very cool because that was actually a real jetpack too, was it not?
Yes, it was. It was the same one they used for the James Bond movie. I think Dr. No.
Yeah, that's
You
pretty
guys can
awesome.
confirm that in the chat. But it was the same because there wasn't a lot of them at the time.
No,
And what it used was compressed air. And I
I'm
think it
trying to
only had
remember.
about. Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember the company that built it now. I know it. I don't think it was NASA, but it was some other technology company.
It was a big one, like Boeing or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I just can't remember it at the moment. But yeah, I thought it was so cool. Obviously, it wasn't the actor, flying, obviously in a lot of the scenes. But yeah, I still thought it was one of my favorite parts of this episode. Really.
Right. They had a man there who was trained to operate it.
Yeah.
And flight time with that jetpack, I don't see it here, but it was like somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds. It wasn't very much.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So
Boy,
they
so
had
they'd
to.
have to they'd film like one of those 30-second scenes and have to land immediately then.
Yes. And then change
Wow.
out the packs.
That's amazing.
And obviously, if it runs out of air while you're up there, it's like having a engine attached to your back. You're going to be
Yeah,
going
you'd
down
have to be.
real fast.
Yeah, you'd have to be very certain of how much time you had left. Yeah, jeez.
And
I
here's
never
where they
realized. I
here's where
never
they
realized it was
established.
such a short time that they had. Like, I would have thought like at least like 5 or 10 minutes, right?
No, I'll look it up to get the exact time. But here's where they also
Wow.
established that apparently it does not use rockets because it's not hot, or maybe it's insulated because not only is Penny touching it, but she seems relatively happy.
Yeah, true. Of course, this looks like green screen or blue screen or whatever it was back then. So
It
were they
was
actually flying at all here? They could have
blue
just been.
screen.
They could have been on the ground on the soundstage at this shot, really.
Yeah, it was blue screen when they show with Penny, and then obviously when they show it seen from a distance, it's the trained pilot,
Well, the thing
and
is,
he
they're
it's a
obviously
dummy
not.
in the back.
Yeah, they're not going to have the actors anywhere, up in the sky for this shot, right? I mean, I
Correct.
wouldn't think so.
It's built by Bell Textron and originally designed for the U.S. Army, but
Okay,
was deemed too dangerous to use. You could only fly it for 20 seconds. Then you
that's
ran
not.
out of fuel and you had nothing.
So
That's it.
what the hell good is a 20-second jetpack?
Well, when you're
That's why.
surrounded, it gets you out of dodge real quick. But you think the jet,
Yeah, but you ain't going too far.
yeah, but you can get on top of a roof and run from there.
Well, I guess that'd be about the only option. If I guess if zombies wanted to eat you, you could jetpack up to the roof. Yeah, that'd be about it.
and that's and that,
I
ladies and
never
gentlemen, is why
realized
we. That's why to this day we don't have jetpacks.
20 seconds. That's no time at all, hardly. Man,
And obviously not practical at all.
no. I wonder how much money they put into that thing before they realized that. Probably millions, right?
Well, it was
Uh,
funded by the army, so they didn't actually lose any money. It's just I think what happened is they built it, and then the army built. You guys have seen modern day jetpacks that the military is using, where there's like an engine on each arm. Have you guys seen that?
I have not. I didn't even know they had developed those.
You think that would burn the legs though? Those jetpacks.
That's what I was saying. I think it's supposed to be insulated. The part where Penny is grabbing it looks like some sort of insulation.
Yeah, well, I remember watching The Rocketeer and I was thinking, how come his legs aren't being incinerated while he's flying? As much fun as that film is, I was like, this is totally unrealistic.
Starting with his
Really.
butt, right?
Oh, I would have just toasted you, man. I don't know. I just, it was so implausible, but I didn't care because the movie was still great fun. So that's the thing about entertainment. It doesn't have to always be realistic, right?
I don't know. Depends on who you ask and what show they're watching.
Well, yeah, of course it varies, of course. But I mean, Lost in Space, this is one of those shows where I can cut it a lot of slack, because it's obviously not like, well, this is literally not like rocket science, I guess, I would say.
I'm gonna share my screen really quick since we're on the subject.
Okay.
And let me
Oh,
see.
what's this? Oh,
I'm gonna make it full screen. This is what we really have current day.
wow. So what's the duration time on these things?
I have not looked yet.
Oh, okay. That's pretty amazing. So it's actually strapped to your arms how you're flying this thing
Yes.
then?
Yeah, and the fuel is in the back. So he's got the
Okay.
fuel in that backpack, and right, and then the jets are on his arms.
Looks like a fairly large tank of fuel, so maybe that would last quite a bit longer then. I'm still wondering what the practical application would be for that, though, because if you were going into a military situation, obviously where you had to like defend yourself, it'd be pretty hard to fire anything when you got your, rockets strapped to your arms. you
Well, like
know.
what you just saw there, if you were trying to get from one ship to another, or what if you had to get over a
Ah,
wall?
yeah. So probably not for combat, more just for practical getting from point A to point B kind of stuff. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting though. I never knew they had anything like that. Well, how's the chat doing there, Gorilla? Is there anything else?
Yeah, three things. Euler
Up to
Greg
date?
says a youth can legally own a rifle or shotgun before a pistol. The
Hmm.
Well,
doctor,
that makes it.
the doctor figures he will wait until the creature is full from eating the others. The Phantom Boomer's laughing.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so with that military jetpack, as you guys saw, since it was strapped to the guy's arms, I
Mm.
guess you'd have to really have some good forearm strength because you're supporting your body weight that whole time. And I guess it's
Yeah, well,
closer to yeah, it's kind of like a almost like an Iron Man design.
obviously you'd have to be very well trained before they'd even want you to fly the thing. I mean, you'd have to like, be very, very, very good at what you're doing to even risk your life doing that. So,
Yes, I'm sure it would take a lot of training,
mm.
and especially you can imagine the cost of that thing too. It's like not only if you screw it up, like the guy in that video, but if you sink, if you hit the water and go down, they don't want you losing the value of that pack, jetpack or
Well,
whatever it's called,
I imagine it's heavy enough if you hit the water that you'd be sinking
real
real
fast.
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'd
exactly.
probably never even find you, much less salvage the jetpack.
No.
Jeez.
Well, it depends on how the jetpack's fueled because you might be able to burst yourself out of the water if you still had some fuel.
Well, the question, well, unless it uses fans, or if the fans are electric, then that water is going to short circuit it immediately.
Yeah.
If it's water, they might make them water resistant or waterproof.
I don't know if you can with fans
Oh, I'm pretty
because
sure they could wrap up the electrical stuff there.
but the question would be: is it was designed where like you push a couple buttons and the whole thing ejects off your body, or how long does it take it off? Like if let's say if you're undercover under the cover of darkness and you want to sneak into the enemy's ship ahead, like we saw in that video, and at dark or after dark, you land, and then how long does it take you to get that thing off? Because if you're stuck wearing that thing for a long time, they're going to fill you full of bullets before you get a chance to do anything.
Well, that was kind of my point. Your arms are kind of weighed down with those rockets or whatever the hell they are. So it's going to be pretty hard to do much until you get the darn thing off, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it seems kind of maybe specialty situations that might be useful, but it seems the general application for that would be kind of limited. You know.
and especially for the public. I can't see Granny doing that to go get
Oh,
groceries
I,
at the
I'm
store,
I'm
right?
quite happy to be driving my ancient car to work every day back and forth. Except for the price of gas, that is.
Oh yeah, it's going to be going up again soon,
Oh, I left
unfortunately.
work today and it had gone up 10 cents. A
Yeah,
dollar, a
plan on
dollar
it.
82.9 a liter here now.
Yep, and with May coming up, it's going to start going up and up and up and up.
Oh, as soon as the summer holidays hit, they'll be jacking it up for the tourists, right?
Uh huh.
Oh well,
Hello, I'm back.
such is
Hello,
life. C'est la vie.
Jill. Did you see my video that I shared?
No, I didn't see it. I had to step away for a little while, but I've returned.
Have you seen the military jetpack that we have with current technology, Jill?
No, I don't know. Maybe, but I don't remember.
Okay, I'll show it again. Let me pull it up.
I just know this one was made out of foam and plastic.
No, actually, Joe, the jetpack and the long shots in this episode were actually a real jetpack because Pop already talked about the
Yeah,
company
Jill. It was.
that built it.
This is yeah, it is a real jetpack, but it only lasts 20 seconds in the air because it
Yeah,
used
that's pretty
compressed
great.
air.
Oh, I think Tony Stark from Stark of Iron is making one. Is making a jetpack. If you want to ever
Really?
talk to him about that, you can ask him.
Wow.
That's something you can ask him about. He's going to make it
Wow.
work too, a little bit.
Oh, we need to see that.
Yeah, you better put a video out when he gets it done.
Okay, Jill. This is what I shared with everybody. What our current military has as far as jetpack is concerned.
Or at least what
Yeah,
they
this
let
is
us see.
this is pretty cool.
Or at least what they let us see.
Right. What we're worthy of.
Yeah, it must be pretty trippy to fly one of those things, though. Man.
Yeah, it's pretty fast too.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
good
don't want to show
speed.
too much and get flagged.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
that's true.
And let me finish. There we go. Got Jill's slides back up. So here's where it's time for them to leave. Professor told them that once the temperature reached 10 below, they need to leave. And Don being hesitant, but of course, Maureen does not want to leave him, and neither do the kids. But Professor Robinson arrives with Penny and the Bloop just in time. So they get into the chariot and embark. And this is when they run across the Cyclops once again. And the Cyclops begins an assault on the chariot. And Don fires. And this time, Don did use the rifle that time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
he
finished
used
him
the
off.
real man's gun.
Yeah, that finished him off, it seems.
I wanted to share a still photo here, a picture really quick. The Aurora Plastics Company of West Hempstead, Long Island, issued 3 plastic do-it-yourself model kits. One featured the robot, and the other 2 each featured the Cyclops attacking the family.
Yeah, I
And
had those as a kid, actually. They were awesomely cool model
you,
kits.
you had the robot attacking the family too.
Can you show it? Do you have any stills of it?
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
had,
pull it
remember
up right now. I'm
I
just
had the one just with the Cyclops. Then I had the one with the Cyclops with a boulder he was going to drop on the Robinsons and their chariot, and I think they had their laser guns they were going to shoot at him, if I remember correctly. Um, that's the one I had. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It was
Well, that would be
awesomely
worth
cool.
a lot of money now if you still had it unassembled. That
Oh
is.
yeah. Well, if I had that, I could. Well, I couldn't retire, but yeah, it'd probably put few $100 in the bank account at least.
Yes, at a
Now,
minimum.
By the way, though, they actually reissued that kit. Some of there's companies that are actually put that kit out in the past 10 years or so again. So if you like eBay it, you could probably find it for a more reasonable price, like maybe like under $50 kind of thing. So.
Yeah, just like Star Trek, the model kits for Lost in Space still sell. They still sell Jupiter
Oh
2 and
yeah,
all
there's
that stuff.
lots of them too, like lots of them. Well, the company that put them out recently within the last decade or so is called not Polar
Polar
Lights.
Lights.
Oh,
Oh,
was it Polar Lights? Okay. Oh yeah, it is
well,
Polar
Polar
Lights because
Lights
I
did the
remember.
Jupiter 2. I know that.
Yeah, I actually had that for a while, but I never got around to building it, and then I ended up selling it because I was short on money one month and I had to pay the rent. So, oh, tragedy. But yeah, actually, the original company in the '60s that put out all these cool models was called the Aurora Model Company,
Hmm.
and they put out all kinds of like sci-fi, horror, classic Universal monsters, like all kinds of cool stuff back then.
Okay, so this is where the giant is throwing boulders at the chariot. And so Don fires the rifle and he hits the giant, and once again, the giant falls back. So we're assuming it's unconscious again. And they're
He looks
driving
kind of
past.
dead there, actually.
I think it might be that the eye didn't close, but yeah.
Yeah, it looks kind of gruesome.
Well, it is, and they're all spooked out as they're driving past it too. So I'm glad they
Yeah.
showed the detail of that of them driving by it.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. And
So here's it.
the bloop is making faces at him too as they went by.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought that
Debbie's
was funny.
cheering.
Yeah, that was funny.
So darkness falls, and now here's where Don says those big boulders didn't do the power unit any good. So of course, once again, the
Uh,
chariot's damaged. So they're going to pull over and camp for the night.
oh yeah, here's Will singing Green Sleeves, right?
Yes.
Right.
That was
And
awesome.
a note about green sleeves is before Lost in Space, June Lockhart starred in the show Lassie, and the theme from Lassie was Green Sleeves,
Really?
right? And Bill
Wow.
Mooney in an interview said that when he was filming this, he didn't know that, and he probably thought that June Lockhart's eyes were rolling back in her head, but I'm sure she was okay with it.
She might have been even kind of, pleased that it was like a little tribute kind of thing almost.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And so here's where we're establishing that Will knows how to play the guitar, and he's singing and entertaining everyone as they're setting up campsite for the
So
night.
did Billy Mooney actually play this? Like, did he actually play the guitar for real in this episode?
Yes. Yeah, he did know how
Cool.
to play the guitar. And in
Awesome.
fact, now I have him on my Facebook and he collects a whole bunch of guitars.
Oh, neat.
And he's even in a band. I don't remember the name.
Hmm.
Eric says green sleds, sleeves, or
It definitely sounds like his voice. I'm sure he's singing.
Yeah, no, I knew he was singing. I just wondered if he was actually playing the guitar or,
Mm.
kind of faking it. But yeah, I guess he probably was really playing because it looked like he was actually playing. So that's very cool.
And here we have with Penny runs up to mom and dad and says that Don is kissing Judy's hand, and she's probably going to get a bunch of germs.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Penny's
Right.
kind of a Penny's kind of a sweet character. She doesn't get a lot of time in episodes, but she does get more as the series progresses because there's at least one writer that actually does write probably 4 or 5 episodes featuring her. So that's kind of fun.
hey, wait, if
Yeah,
she's to be the biggest star, how come she doesn't get that much screen time?
Well, because she was just like she was a minor character. I mean, because
I
she was just
yeah,
one of the kids.
I think they were playing into the juvenile concept where kids thought when they were young that everybody had cooties.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I thought it was kind of hilarious actually.
Well, even Maureen and John kind of look at each other and they're laughing.
Oh yeah.
So here's where they encounter an electrical storm. So they decide that they need to be able to get out of the storm for the night because this is not safe to drive the chariot with the family inside. Obviously, it could be struck by lightning at any time.
That's a good reminder that this planet does have a certain strange electrical charge.
Well, the
Yes,
planet's environment is actually quite dangerous, really.
yes. Right. We haven't even seen all the examples yet
Well, we
of the
haven't.
planet.
Well, the next episode we'll see even more.
Yes. So here's where we have. By the way, when they enter into this, it's like they drive the chariot into a cave. Inside that cave, they find these ruins, and the music here is borrowed from "The Day the Earth Stood Still," Bernard Herrmann.
Hmm. And Phantom Boomer says girls don't have cooties.
Unless they're kissing a guy's hand. And
I
of
think
course,
coo-
the
I
kids
think
immediately
cooties.
wander off.
I think cooties goes away about puberty.
Yeah, right about then, huh? Right
Yeah,
about
that sounds
12.
about right.
12 for boys and younger for girls.
uh,
So, of course, the kids wander off, and first thing is it happens, of course, is they accidentally get locked in a room, and Don and Judy go looking for them, and they also get locked in there as well, and we're trapped. So they're banging on the wall and yelling for help, and that's when Professor Robinson and thank goodness him and Maureen find them, and he uses his laser rifle to cut through the wall, and we get our still cliffhanger for next week. To be continued next week, same time, same channel.
Yeah, I will cut a minute off of this and left it where just the kids were trapped.
And then next week's show, Penny and Dawn getting trapped.
No, they're all four of them were trapped.
yeah, they were all trapped at the end of this one.
I know, but what part are you talking about cutting out, Gorilla?
What? Oh, take out the earthquake part and then using the laser the rifle to cut through that. It just had the two kids and then the parents trying to get at the kids.
But then where's Dawn and Judy?
Uh, wait, I thought the mother was with the father and they were trying to get the kids pushing on the door to get the kids out of that one room with the giant skeleton.
No, no, no. What happened was the two young kids got stuck in that room. Don and Judy heard them,
Yeah.
pushed the same door open, and also got stuck in there.
Yeah, so it was the four of them that were stuck in the room, and then the parents came to
And
save them at
right,
the end.
right, and that was the cliffhanger.
Yeah,
And I think the reason why it ended where it did is because they don't want to focus on that a lot at the beginning of next week's episode. They're going to resolve it. What we'll tend to see in this series is just like earlier in this episode with the cliffhanger with the robot with Will on top of the chariot. They tend to resolve it pretty quickly and then move on
yeah,
from that point.
yeah. They usually resolve it in the first minute or two, and then move on to the next story. Yeah,
Okay, and I'm going to see if I can. By the way, everybody, did I put it? I hope I did. I think everybody, as a reminder, I think I put a poll in
You
the
did.
chat if you'd like to vote. Thank you, Jill. I think I put
I
it. So
voted.
please, if you get a chance.
I voted already.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, and this is going to be a very cool. This is going to be a quick, about 30-second teaser for next week's episode. If I can, hopefully it'll work right.
All right.
No planet could have an orbit like this.
That's a sea of solid ice.
Turn back at once before it's too late.
In a matter of hours, we're going to be in danger of roasting alive.
John, look! There it is!
By this time, I suppose our band of pilgrims is either well frozen or they've been devoured by monsters.
And that's next week's preview.
Yeah, that's a real good one next week.
Yes, it is. It's definitely. It's
One of
like
my
each
favorites.
episode gets better and better. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's got a really strong start to season one, Lost in Space. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now I'm going to share the results for our poll. All right. If I don't take too long doing it here. There we go. I'm going to end the poll. And all right, it says, what grade would you give There Were Giants in the Earth? And it looks like, oh, nice. 71% gave it an A plus to an A minus. 28% gave it a B plus to B minus. And nobody voted C or below. So that's terrific. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Generally
Yeah,
so.
good voting.
Yeah,
generally
definitely
speaking.
did.
Good voting this week.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I appreciate you voting for it. Gorilla, what would you give us your opinion about this episode? And what would you rate it?
Well, it's an automatic F there with him using that pea shooter instead of a real man's gun. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm just joking with that. I mean, there's a little bit of wacky science. Overall it's good. And the special effects I think are getting improving quite a little bit better there, especially with I like the lightnings, the way they do the lightning and all that. And you got Sloth in there with, so but I did have to bite my tongue on one scene though, but I really bit my tongue on it. But I'll give
Why
it.
did you bite your
A-
tongue? I would
Because it would have been a really, really, really inappropriate comment.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
With the sloth and the log there. It was bad. I was biting my tongue. I didn't mention nothing. I was just biting my tongue.
I think, now that I think about it, I think the reason why Will shot it with the pistol is so that it would not kill it and it would survive to attack the chariot. Because if Will would have shot it with the rifle, that would have killed it, which they established with the chariot. Because when Don shot it with the pistol or with the rifle, that killed it. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
So they used
That's
the pistol
true,
so
and
that
this
Yeah.
pistol might just be Will's weapon of choice, the first thing he grabs for.
That's actually
That's
a good
true.
point. Yeah, that makes sense actually.
right. So we know the pistol will stun it, but the rifle will kill it.
Maybe Will thought he could run there faster just with the pistol anyway instead of packing the full size rifle, perhaps.
That's possible too.
Yeah, he's just 10 years old or something, right?
Well, exactly.
PvP, what did you think about this episode?
Uh, uh, I like it better than last week. Last week's, I guess I gave it a A minus if I remember. This week I'm giving it a solid A. I think this is a very, very good episode. The series is definitely moving along nicely at this point. And yeah, I mean, I can't think of too many major criticisms at all for this one. I think it's got nice pacing. I think it's got a good plot line. It's got some really nice special effects. Of course, we get to see the chariot again, and we get the introduction of the Cyclops, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, there's not too much I could think of negative about this episode. And oh, I agree with Gorilla that the lightning effects at the end of the episode are really cool. So yeah, I just think it was a solid episode.
Nice, thank you. And Jill, what would you? Oh, Jill seems to be away, so I'll give my review. I will say I'd give it an A. Also, I enjoy it. Like I said earlier, I think each episode progressively is getting better and better. This first season is really good, and I know it might seem sort of dark in some points, but considering knowing that it could have been a lot darker if the network hadn't stepped in. So I guess which makes the show what made the show what it is and so endearing once again is because of the network interference, which is usually backfires. But for a good thing, I guess they were having everything. They were having the subtle changes done to Doctor Smith and the subtle changes to the robot to make them both not as villainous, I guess you could say. In fact, that was one of the notes I was reading about Doctor Smith that the network handed down to them. Is the network basically said is that they didn't want a mustache twirling villain because at this point that was more like a cliche and a joke, and they didn't want the kids at home laughing at it. They wanted to take it a little more seriously, so that's why Doctor Smith is like he is.
I do appreciate
And
that he's
yeah,
not a cartoonish villain.
exactly. Yeah, totally. And Jill, what grade would you give this episode?
I think I've been giving these episodes A's, and so far, this one also fits into that category for me. It's fun and well paced, and I there's always something science wise that I don't quite like about it, like about how they completely ignore how explaining how the parasites were taken care of that were living in the soil. We can just plant in there now, but I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But everything else is wonderful. It's a good episode. And I'm keeping track of the ship repair status report. This episode has minimal progress for that. We got Will trying to partially repair the visual scanners and the scope. And I, of course, I don't expect every episode to address this, but from this show, every once in a while I do want to hear about what they're doing to repair their ship to either go to Alpha Centauri or Earth, or at the very least establish communications with Earth. But I don't expect it from every episode, just every once in a while. So I'll give this episode an A. And still, but now I have to go away again. I am demanded.
Okay, thank you,
Oh,
Jill. Gorilla, tell us about your channel.
Well, I've been doing a lot of shorts. Like I showed all my shorts from Easter and all that. A lot of different foods. I got a lot of different foods in that, and
Yeah, next
well,
time, I watched your short Gorilla with the foods, and you panned the camera, and some of them I couldn't tell what it was. So it would have been nice if you just said, "This is macaroni. This is salad. This is that."
oh
But I like the shorts.
yeah. Then like I'm gonna be doing a lot more Rome Total War streams here. I do 3 watch parties a week. Uh, we're doing our last um, uh, time cop here on Wednesday. Then we'll be going to End of the Effing World there after that. Then we got Babylon 5 on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we were watching Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, great.
Therefore, Germ's 80s picks. But then on Fridays, I might switch to a different thing here because I'm getting tired of fighting Warner Brothers on the Waltons there.
Oh,
They're they're starting to clip even stuff they've been they've been grabbing stuff we've been talking through. They've been grabbing. I've screwed up on a couple of them where I went too long, and I'm just getting tired of Warner Brothers. And the YouTube's copyright claim thing is totally unfair. I might even do a random thoughts with Gorilla on that. But
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
so,
there's been a few channels I've noticed that are doing some rants about how stupid the whole copy thing is on YouTube here, because it is kind of really silly when you think about it. It's like we're promoting these great old shows by doing this kind of stuff, right? If anything, this is going to put more money into the pockets of these companies when they sell more DVDs or whatnot. So it
Yeah, we're
just
not
makes
just
no
playing the
sense.
straight video up and trying to get money off it
Well,
somehow.
exactly,
We're
exactly. It's
reviewing them,
crazy.
right? We're
Yeah,
reviewing them and try to draw attention to them.
well, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's a pain.
Yeah, well, thank you, Gorilla. And PvP, would you like to tell us about your channel?
Well, it's about music, rock and roll, which unfortunately I seem to have my old avatar here again. I don't know what's
Just
going on.
temporarily. We'll
I'm
get
just
that
kind of
fixed.
afraid though to even try to log in because I actually tried to log in on Brave to get my YouTube channel working on Brave, and I used every email and password I could think of using, and it was like, nope, not working. So I don't know what's going on
Well,
there.
we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, it's weird because I've got all the stuff written down right on my desk here, right? But my
Well,
emails were good, but for some reason the password I have I don't know. Maybe I
well,
think I had the
well. Just
password,
remember,
but
use it. Yeah, just remember, use that link that Gorilla sent you. That will clean up your Google Chrome for now, where you can continue using it.
oh really? The web store one?
Gorilla, can you send it to his Twitter? Because the
uh,
problem is when I close the stream, then we don't
Oh
have
yeah.
access to the
Actually, if you
the
could
back
send it
room.
to Twitter, then I would have access to it because I don't want to do it tonight. I want to make sure I get my pay on Thursday before I start fiddling around with any of this stuff because I just don't want to take a chance because if something goes sideways, I'm probably screwed. So I
Yeah,
don't want to take a chance.
there's no hurry to do it. But yeah,
No,
run
I'm
that
not. I'm not.
program.
No, well,
Run that
yeah, it's
program
like
that he's talking about, Matt. And that'll take care of those pop-ups for you.
oh, good. But it's like it's like tonight pop. I mean, everything's fine. I can manage with what I got going on here with Edge. I mean, it might not be the greatest browser in the world, but it works good enough to get these streams done. So I'm okay with that for now.
Great. Okay, let me do this. Herc 130 says, "Come on, there we go. Come on, what is this thing doing?" Ola Greg says, "That is my plan when we go camping and there are bears in the area." Ola Greg is laughing. Okay. And on my stream, let's see. Tomorrow you'll find me on Antiderivative Jill's stream, somewhere around 12 Central Time. We're going to be covering the Star Trek episode, TOS episode, Metamorphosis, with the original Zephram Cochrane, my
That's
favorite Zephram Cochrane. I know that a lot of people are going to shoot me for that, but I don't like the guy who played him in the movie.
yeah,
But oh
I like
uh,
well.
both.
yeah. Pop, I sent it to your Twitter there because Pleasant Valley's not picking it up. Is not popping up on my
Okay.
thing here.
Okay, thanks. I'll forward it to
okay.
him. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll find it. Yeah, that's cool.
So tomorrow we have Metamorphosis on Antiderivative Jill's channel.
Yeah, that's a great
Um,
episode.
Yeah, I'll be watching it in just a few
I think
minutes.
that's probably my
Me too. Yes.
maybe not my top 10, but it definitely my top 20 episodes probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm curious of what the new special effects are gonna look like.
Oh, I prefer the originals.
Well, so do I. But I'm wondering if they're gonna redo the alien effect, that cloud-looking thing with all the sparkles. Or are they gonna keep the original? That's what I'm curious
Do you want
about.
me to give you spoilers?
Oh, you've already seen it, the new one?
Oh, I think I have. I think I have watched. Well, maybe I better just watch it for yourself. I don't want to screw anything up. I might ruin it if I say something. So
Okay. So tomorrow, Antiderivative Jill's channel, TOS Metamorphosis. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific time, horror sci-fi stream. Nemesis of Eden's birthday. He made a mistake. First, he thought it was tomorrow, but then we scheduled Tremors because he likes that movie. So I scheduled Tremors for tomorrow night. And then he realized his birthday wasn't until next week. I'm sure, not a realization, but he had the dates mixed up. But I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and show it anyway. We can always celebrate his birthday tomorrow night. And Tremors also has one of the stars from Big Trouble in Little China in it.
Just
Which,
call it a birthday week celebration.
yeah, exactly, right? We'll do a
Well,
whole birthday week.
well, I waited until the Saturday after for my birthday stream.
I didn't even do a birthday stream.
Mine's
But oh
coming
well,
up
that's
just a
me.
little over a month from now, so hopefully I can get a live thing going by then and have a birthday
Oh
stream.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
we'll get stuff
I
before
probably
then.
not because it'll have to be like the day before or something because I'm I'm going to be working full days on Mondays now. So yeah,
I only
Okay.
did one because it fell around the weekend, right when I have my show anyway.
I could just do
Okay.
it a day or two before. It's no big deal, I guess. I'd
Okay.
do it on the weekend.
Wednesday, Gorillas, Random Thoughts, and myself, we cover Gilligan's Island. So we'll have 2 more episodes of that from season 2. Please try to be there if you're able to. And I know I had planned last weekend to do a Rumblies from the lab, but I was very ill, and I'm kind of still recovering from that. But I'm going to try to do that this week. I've already had a topic in mind for a couple weeks now. So I will try to do the Rumblies from the lab sometime this weekend. And until then, we'll see you all next Monday for episode 5 of Lost in Space. And I wanted to thank everybody in the chat, everybody who came and visited and spent the time with us. I really appreciate it because I know all your time is valuable. And especially you, fellow panelists, thank you guys for being here. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you had a good time.
Oh,
I
great fun!
did. Thank you for
Yeah,
having
great
me.
fun.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Okay, so with that, I think I covered everything. Let's see. We read every chat. We try to make it a point of reading every chat. And I want to once again thank Gorilla's Random Thoughts for helping me with the chats. That really helps a lot when I get busy and I'm trying to
Yeah,
juggle too
not a
many
problem.
things. So thank you, Gorilla. So have a great night, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Remember, everybody, if you're listening, please try to join us on Antiderivative Jill's stream tomorrow for Metamorphosis. I'm sure she'll be posting that soon. And click the
Yes.
alert bell. And for this video, if you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider it and maybe recommend it to a friend. And so have a great night, everybody. Peace.